going to call this meeting to order. Will you please read the sunshine law?
Let the minutes show that adequate notice of this meeting, as required by Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, has been provided by the annual notice, which has been posted on the bulletin board filed with the Borough Clerk and has been sent to the Asbury Park Press, the Independent, the Star Ledger, and the Two River Times.
Thank you. Can I please have a roll call?
Councilmember Cooper?
Here.
Councilmember Patopoulos?
Here.
Councilmember Good?
Here.
Councilmember McDermott? Here. Councilmember Pacheco? Here. Councilmember Sheridan?
Here.
Mayor Kennedy?
Here. Can we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Go through the back. Go through the back.
Public building.
No, I mean-
Quiet, but we can't close the door.
No, not close to it.
I think this is starting to leave now.
Okay.
We'll start off with committee reports. Councilman Cooper, please.
Okay. I'm going to defer the Recreation Committee report to Councilwoman McDermott. And there's nothing new from the library. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Patopoulos.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. The registrar's report has been enclosed. I don't have any highlights. I apologize for that. But you can reference it in your packets. The recycling committee is going to meet on Tuesday, February 25th, at which time we will work to finalize the release of the Keyport Recycling website and prepare it for submission and approval of council. I did send a link to council to peruse it. The Keyport Environmental Commission met, and we welcomed new member Doug Whiter, Esquire, to the team. He was recently appointed by the mayor. We discussed continuing efforts regarding the resiliency of the beachfront, and also I'm going to defer to Council President Sheridan to discuss the Christmas tree project that they just employed over the weekend, and he has my appreciation for that. We are working on a grant to get money to put plantings that are not just beach grass, but actual beach plums and bushes and maybe a couple of trees on the back beach behind the already established beach grass project, Living Shoreline. We're also going to look into ways to hopefully use a grant to plant oyster shell bags of oyster shells in the water line, which would attract other life and other mollusks to be able to provide filtration and hopefully mitigate some of the wave action that we're experiencing that's contributing to the erosion from the Chingarora estuary on down. Mayor, I do have a concern. When I was at a couple of weekends ago, when I was taking pictures of the dunes, there were dirt bikes riding up and down the beach. I was a dirt biker. I loved it. I even illegally rode on Keensburg Beach before I was told how much damage it can do.
What?
And I just wanted to.
Statute of limitations is on.
Left
side.
He didn't say, but.
I've made amends. I've tried to make amends over the years. But dirt bikes don't belong on our sensitive beaches, unfortunately. We're going to try and hopefully we can find another place to do that. And that's all I have to report tonight because my report was lost in my email. Thank you, and thank you to the public.
Councilman Good.
Thank you, Mayor. In our packets and one of our communications, the fire department has made a list of what looks like the public events so I referenced that. With regard to the service for the fire department for the month of January, there was one cooking fire, one brush fire, an outside rubbish fire, a dumpster fire, 2 medical assists, 3 natural gas leaks, 1 power line down, 1 odor of smoke, 4 alarm activations, and 2 community events for a total call of 18 calls, 355 man-hours. That's what I have.
Thank you. Councilwoman McDermott?
Thank you, Mayor. So regarding the rec committee, we have released the 5K Triple Crown signing. So it's available online, so please sign up for it. And when you do sign up, you actually receive a discount for purchasing the 3 races. It's going to be Union Middletown, Union Beach, and Keyport. And there will be a medal for anyone who actually does all 3 of these. That's really exciting. We did have a February Valentine's Family Day dance, and we had 14 families join us. That was really nice event, and I think the kids, at the end of the day, the kids really appreciated it, just have an opportunity to engage also with the parents and socialize, and we had lots of candy. They all very high. The sugar rush was amazing.
For some people.
Yes. We will have an East egg hunt again, and that's being planned out for April. So more news will be coming out next month. Summer camp application has been opened, so if there's anyone who wants to
Director.
for summer camp director, sorry,
Sorry.
the position has been, thank you. Position has been open, it's on the borough page. If there's anyone who wants to apply for that, please have them go there. The library committee, we've not met. That's just for the library construction committee. I'm on that as well as with Councilwoman Pacheco, and we will be meeting shortly. KBBC, the budget's been submitted for governing body review approval. Not sure exactly when it's gonna happen, but it's out in notice. Music Thursdays is coming up. We'll have a health awareness day. There's gonna be events coming up, so that's the biggest events. That's the ones that are coming up soon. And of course, we'll have our summer events to kick off and all that great stuff. But right now, we're still early in the season for most of our KBBC events. So that's where we are.
Thank you. Councilwoman Pacheco?
So the Municipal Alliance, we're actually meeting bi-monthly now, so the next meeting will actually be March 12th. We wanted a yoga initiative in the schools. It was done in conjunction with the Schools Has Begun. I think it was a success. Yeah. So there will be a knockout opioid abuse. We'll be having a Bayshore Town Hall. It'll be on March 25th from 7 to 9 at Raritan High School. So the Harbor Commission, the group met on February 10th. They had discussions about bulkhead repairs and ways to do it in conjunctions with the owners of the former Union Cottage Inland. The hope is to figure out a way to do the repairs together, kind of ensure uniformity with the bulkhead. Discussions were also held around reviewing the final drafts of all the leases, the fishing boat, the boathouse, the hot dog vendor, and the kayak lockers. The commission hopes to begin advertising for the kayak lockers soon in anticipation for the spring and summer season. And lastly, the commission is continuing research to begin drafting a new ordinance to be presented to mayor and council. The green team, we are officially bronze certified. The meeting, basically, the first meeting of the green team this year, we had discussions about how to keep it that way and to move forward into silver. Some of the things we're talking about, Red Bank is currently in silver, so collaborating with other towns to figure out how they did it and what we can do here to bring that here. Police report, let me just get Mark's. So there were 1,004 calls for service. Oh yeah, that's right, because it's January, sorry. 83 detective calls, it's the same number. 4 DWIs, and I actually have a suspicious fire on here, so I also have a fire report today. Lastly, I just wanted to say that I actually thought that the Recycle website came out really nicely. I like that you can get things onto the iCalendar, so good job, Dennis, on that Recycle team. And that's it.
That's me.
Yeah, good job. That's it, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Sheridan?
Thank you, Mayor. The Finance Committee, that's Mr. Patopoulos, Mr. Good, and myself, is going to be meeting on Thursday, February 27th, to go over a draft of the 2020 municipal budget. Veterans Initiative Committee met for the second time on February 10th, and the next meeting's going to be on March 9th. And we're closer to writing that recommendation letter to the mayor and council on more veteran-friendly initiatives. The Keyport Skipper Committee, that's the senior disabled bus, we met on January 22nd, and we need to get the bus logoed and stenciled. We were going to interview 2 more bus drivers this evening, so we're always in the need of CDL bus drivers. The Local Emergency Planning Committee will be meeting soon, and then we're going to have a tabletop exercise, and then we're going to have an actual drill, so we're very ambitious this year. The Historical Society is going to be opening up on Sunday, April 19th from 1 to 4, and I'll have a full list of events this year. The Environmental Commission, a couple of those wonderful folks came together this past Sunday, and we have some depressions in our Cedar Street dune, and other municipalities have repurposed Christmas trees. And what you do is you dig into the sand, plant the trees, tie them together, and then put a little sand over them. And then over time, the sand that gets blown goes over the trees and builds dune. So we did a pilot program, and we'll follow up on that every 3 months to see how that works out. So that happened this past Sunday. So I want to thank them for that. And finally, I want to thank my crewmates, Charlie Beagle and Tyler Ely, on 2/36 Valentine's Day morning. It was on a cold day next to the Matawan train station. We delivered a baby girl.
Oh, congratulations.
You must have been all that talk with
That's
Tom
the
Gallo
best.
last meeting, must have been that pressure,
Yeah,
right?
you can thank me for that.
I mean,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, the father was in there with us. It was awesome. No, but the trainings that they got in the first aid squad and the coolness under pressure for those 2 young men. And I drove and I wanted to get us to Riverview fast, but it just wasn't going to happen.
No.
She was coming, and paramedics showed up a couple minutes later. So everybody was safe and happy. We went down to Monmouth Bed, and everybody's happy and healthy.
Good job.
Nice job,
Got
Joe.
cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Some quick updates. Attended the Honor of Veterans meeting that Councilman Sheridan just referenced. And so I think that's going to be a great program when we get that off the ground for the borough. I had a meeting with the Board of Elections with Mr. Henshaw and some other members of employees and members of the public about the polling locations. Don't know that we really came to any conclusions that day. They did not accept our recommendations, but they also hadn't denied them. So I'm not sure where that leaves us, other than several of us having to take a lot of time off from work to meet with them. But we really didn't make any progress on that at all. So we're waiting to hear back from them with their site inspections and suggested revisions. So I'll keep you posted as soon as I hear more on that. Had our meeting with the superintendent of the schools and members of the Board of Education regarding our continuation of collaboration projects. This meeting primarily focused on the summer camp. Their school, as you know, the whole school district received the referendum 2 years ago and election day. So last year they focused on Keyport Central School. This summer they're going to be focusing on the high school, which is primarily where our summer camp is held. So we've been waiting with pins and needles to see if they were going to be able to accommodate the summer camp in the central school, because they have other things they have to move into there for the summer. But we do have a 5-week period that they've agreed to make some kind of space available for us for the camp. So we may just have to work differently than in the past in different rooms. But that was exciting to work that out together. And also one of the initiatives the committee for We Honor Our Veterans would like to see is more collaboration with the veterans and our school-age children. So we reviewed several possibilities with them. We're waiting to hear back from them on those initiatives. Attended the KBBC board meeting, the library trustees meeting, some updates on the library. The new librarian is here about 6 weeks now and has taken charge in full effect. has already implemented some great changes. She came in, already down personnel for people that had left at the end of the year, but she's already interviewed and, as of Friday, was able to offer, the employment offers so that they're fully staffed again. They had a Valentine's book giveaway, both, on Valentine's Day at the library. I received word today that they quadrupled their normal, visitor rate on Valentine's Day, because people came in to pick up the book that they were giving away for free, as well as they're anticipating a higher turnout this week, because at the Valentine's dance, free book coupons were given out as an initiative to get people into the library as well. And they approved at the meeting, for, very necessary and overdue technology upgrades, for the computer usage in the library. So that should be coming along soon as well. I also met with former Chief Young regarding some parade updates, which will be coming out to the public soon. There'll be announcements. On March 3rd is their Raise the Pint fundraiser at McDonough's Pub, and March 21st is the parade, which, as a reminder, is a fundraiser for the fire department. They work hard all year to put this parade on. It benefits all of us. It's a fun day in town. But it was started 15 years ago. It's the 15th anniversary, and it was started as a fundraiser for the parade. So we're working on other ways to see how else we can try and increase the profits that are raised by the fire department to put that initiative on for our borough. And that's all I have as far as mayor's updates. If the clerk can move on with the consent agenda.
Resolution 8320 is the payment of bills. Resolution 8420 authorizes the expansion of an agreement with CME Associates as borough engineers to add emergency engineering services for the borough's infrastructure year-round maintenance contract. Resolution 8520 authorizes the borough of Keyport to enter into a shared service agreement with the County of Monmouth and the Monmouth County Sheriff's Office for the provision of emergency dispatch services. Resolution 8620 authorizes the borough of Keyport to enter into a developers agreement with Barron Builders LLC. Resolution 8720 authorizes the borough of Keyport to release the remaining escrow funds to Oyster Bay Apartments. Resolution 8820 is requesting approval of the Director of the Division of Local Government Services to establish a dedicated trust by rider for donations for a public bench program pursuant to NJSA 48A:5-21. Resolution 8920 authorizes revocation of a notice of violation issued to 87 Fulton Street for failure to register vacant property. And Resolution 9020 authorizes revocation of a notice of violation issued as to 135 3rd Street for failure to register vacant property. Resolution 9120 authorizes the adoption of a vehicle use policy and incorporating that policy into the Borough of Keyport's personnel manual. Resolution 9220 authorizes the adoption of a domestic violence policy into the Borough of Keyport's personnel manual and appointing Sergeant Stephen Wheeler as the Human Resources Officer under the policy. Resolution 9320 is appointing members to the Downtown Keyport District Stakeholder Planning Team as part of the Borough of Keyport's participation in the Neighborhood Preservation Program. And Resolution 9420 authorizes hiring and appointment of Nicole Henn as a part-time Neighborhood Preservation Program Coordinator for the Borough of Keyport. Resolution 9520 is appointing Shawna Berlew as the Director of the Keyport Bayfront Business Cooperative by the Mayor of the Borough of Keyport. Resolution 9620 is supporting legislation before the New Jersey State Legislature increasing state funding to the Shore Protection Fund from $25 million to $50 million. And Resolution 9720 is approving an amendment to the boundaries of the Keyport Neighborhood Preservation Program District boundaries.
Mayor, if I may,
Sure.
I'm sorry. Resolution R8520, I'd like to have that pulled tonight. The county sent us some numbers that didn't match up, and I've been trying to get a hold of them all day long, and I got no return call. So I'd like to put that off until the next council meeting on the 3rd.
I agree.
I'll make that motion.
And
To pull it? We usually do.
No,
The left side fix.
fine, I didn't know it would be a formal, but, okay.
And I'd like to also, pull, R 9420, until we go into executive session of that. And then we can always take action on it when we come back.
Can you explain why we're going into executive session on that? Why is that closed session? Personnel. Was the personnel last notice?
Oh, well, it's a hiring issue, so they're not technically an employee yet, but it's litigation.
Part-time position? I don't know.
We don't have to.
No.
My discrepancy was, there was a pay difference
Right.
between what was given and what is now. It's different now under this one. So, I mean, we don't have to pull unless somebody else wants to. I'm good now.
I'd like to leave it, yeah.
Leave it or move it to after close?
Leave it.
Okay.
In regards to R 8620, I just want to make for a matter of reference that is the members of the public that have the agenda in front of them. The developer's agreement in reference here is for 333 First Street. That's the apartment complex on Walnut, down by First. So, that's listed in the actual resolution, but in case you didn't get to the book tonight, I just want to make a reference of what that's for.
You want a motion to open or not?
No, sorry. R 90, and from the packet that you received over the weekend, that's been fixed. There was just a typographical error on that, so that's why, in your agenda you received tonight, it says revised. And then R 9420, they already mentioned that. And I think those were my only notes. Does anyone have any commentary before we open to the public?
Yes, I did, Mayor. Tom, with the assigned and pool vehicles on the paragraph number 4, with the 3 chiefs, there's 2 cars with the fire department. One of the assistant chiefs also has a car, which I assume is going to be, would fall under that
And
paragraph.
I'll
So
amend
can we
it to
just-
add that in.
Or just delete just say the chiefs.
Okay.
That's the.
So actually about, before we open to the public, about that vehicle policy, because it says any borough vehicle, so does every firefighter have to sign this, and who's gonna maintain
No.
that roster?
It's in the non-emergency service. So the chief's cars, which will be used in a non-emergency capacity at times, yes, but since the fire trucks or any of the other are considered emergency service.
And then the same thing with the ambulances and so forth, right?
Yes.
So motion to open to the public for consent agenda item topics only.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Kelsey?
Andrew Kelsey, 29 St. Peters. First, which resolution was going to be discussed and closed?
9420.
9420.
And then, Mr. Fotopoulos,
Yes.
can you explain in more detail this calendar function that Ms. Pacheco had mentioned?
So, okay, yeah, it's just a widget, okay, to a WordPress, it's a WordPress widget. I know where you're going. Our website, the borough website, is not created with WordPress, so it's not a simple fix. Let's, I mean, I'm willing to go back and talk, I'm willing to talk to you about it now, but I'd rather wait until the recycling website is published, and then we can have a more, we can even have an individual conversation.
Now, with that function, that allows me to add the recycling calendar into my phone, so it would update when that updates, or is it
No.
add things individually?
No, you have to take action to add them. It's not a seamless connection because of security with WordPress. So in other words, it's not a push capability. You have to go and you have to click and add it to your calendar. However, one of the nice features is you can drill down to your section and just add your collections and individual collections to your
So I'd be able to add, what, like the whole year automatically? You know?
per month. You have to go through every month.
Okay.
and
All right,
do
then
it.
it's
Yeah.
not what I was hoping for.
No, it's, I mean, you're still
It's
able to
okay.
add it,
I'll be
but
excited. I thought we'd be able to get the borough.
we, Andrew, that can be done, but, you know, it takes a little bit more effort, that's all. But eventually we can do that, but I'd rather see it done like you,
I'm
with
not,
the borough, no, with the borough website first.
I'm not fulfilling what you did at all. I thought you really got to where I would like to go. and you
We're
didn't.
getting there, bro,
All right.
we're getting there.
Okay, thank you, that's all.
Thank you.
It's a great word.
Mr. Lane?
Mayor Kennedy, regarding your report, is there any new information on the NESE gas pipeline issue?
No.
No, nothing. And no discussion at the Bay Shore mayors?
No.
No. Okay. Councilman Potopoulos and
Yes.
McDermott. At the Environmental Commission meeting, there was discussion about a property owner who's infringed on the wetlands.
Yes.
Has anything to report on that?
Not from the Environmental Commission perspective, and no, admittedly, I haven't looked into enforcement of that. It's something that I can take off, I promise you, I'll take it offline tonight with Councilwoman McDermott, and we'll go from there. All right?
Thank you. Couple other questions.
Mr. Lane, for the record, what address are you speaking of, so that if we need to follow up? The property,
317 Beer Street.
317 Beer Street, okay, that's all I needed.
Fine.
I just wanted to know the address that you were asking about.
It's 317 Beer Street, right, Mr. Lane?
That is correct. The map adjustment for the NPP.
Yes.
I was surprised to see that it did not have the corrections for the properties that are in an RA district, historic district, which are included in, quote, this general commercial district, and they're not.
The map doesn't have to, it's been explained in other meetings, but map doesn't have to go with the entire general commercial. It was an identifiable suggestion from the state. The only adjustment that was made this time was to include up on Broad Street up to the library. And the reason for that is because the library does need substantial improvements as well. So that way we have different options if the grant funding that we may be moving forward with doesn't go through. So we don't even know if that's where it's going to align with, but it gives them the option to if they have to.
But why weren't the single-family homes in the general, the RA district lots removed from the
Removed
NPP?
or included?
Removed.
Why weren't they, or why?
Why weren't they? Because I sent the council a letter. I'll give you a copy of it. And outlined that there were sections of the general commercial district that were not included, and that there were sections of the residential areas that were included. And Mr. Gallo sent me a note back and said, there's no way it can be changed because this was done by the state. And now we changed it, and why weren't the full set of corrections made?
Can I ask a question real quick? If that's all right. Again, you do, just to clarify, I want to make sure, you do understand that the MPP zone, I'm going to call it, isn't exclusive to the general commercial district, right?
Well,
I'm asking, do you know, because it doesn't have to be, am I right? It's not,
It's not.
exclusive to, it can extend into the RA zone, can it not?
If it, actually, to clarify and to point that out, if it didn't have to include neighborhoods, our original plan would have carried, because it was all highway.
Right.
They said it did not
Even
include
more.
enough RA areas.
Even more, right, even more. So it has to, in some cases, it would have to include RA as well,
well, then,
because it qualifies as a
Go
neighborhood.
outside the boundary too, if we're close, if we get permission.
then under your resolution where you're appointing stakeholders to the downtown Keyport district. So have any stakeholders been identified from this residential area?
They're gonna be appointed later on in the, where is that?
It's not the resolution, no.
Oh,
It's in the resolution.
it's on
There are members of
resolution.
the public in that
Yes,
list.
it is a
It's
diverse.
93-20.
93, sorry.
All right, so who is on the list?
I can read this, here, hold on one second. It is, according to ordinance, when we defined it by ordinance back in the fall, the members had to be, two governing bodies, a representative from KBBC, at least one of them, business owners, as two business owners and two residents.
Yeah, I wanted to name.
It is, Councilwoman Victoria Pacheco, Councilwoman Delia McDermott, business owner Lorraine DeVizio, and also KBB, no? Oh, she's KBBC president by default, a business owner, Jay Patel from, Jax, Catherine Calley from Stress Free Body, Michelle Knox as a resident, and Rachel Fredericks as a resident.
Now, are any of these residents in the residential area that's in the plan?
No,
No?
It wasn't
no,
not
it's not
required.
required.
It's almost a cut.
I would say,
But all three business owners are in that area, so they're not just business owners in Keyport, all three are from the business district that's
right.
in the map.
But Joe, it can't be a conflict because you're putting business owners.
No, but you were talking about residents.
Yeah, but you've included residential properties in the map. And these are RA district properties. And, you know, we sent a letter asking for that to be fixed, and in the letter, we identified the fact you didn't include all the commercial district lots, but you did include the residential lots, and so the only thing that got fixed based on the letter, and I'll send all members of the council a copy of the letter.
Mike,
The only
but fixed is your criteria. It's not a criteria that we agree with, nor we submit to.
Well, apparently you fixed the commercial part.
The way that we didn't fix the commercial part based on your input. We wanted to include the library, am I right?
Yeah, the idea was to include the library because it's our understanding that we would be able to mix and match funds between the library bond, knock on wood,
If we get that.
and then the MPP to be able to begin some of the repairs that are desperately
Which
needed. But-
dragged those Councilwoman, which dragged those residences into the mix.
No, the residents are First Street in a historic district.
Okay,
Has nothing to do with the library.
okay.
And you have one of the most historic homes in Keyport.
Which we
In
would never harm or do anything. I mean, I'm not understanding
Well,
the contention here.
the question is just being consistent with the definition of this being, what's the title in the map?
Say that again?
What's the title on the map?
On the map?
Oh, I know what he's getting at. It's
I hope to have
downtown,
the map with me, but I
downtown,
didn't
right.
get it.
Downtown Keyport,
Downtown Keyport.
district boundaries.
Yeah. So it's not, these are not downtown lots. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's downtown.
I think we'll all share some of the concerns as far as where, the original application to the maps to, I had a press conference with the lieutenant governor, it was supposed to all be out on the highway, so but at the end of the day, do we throw away an opportunity that could still help the municipality and not have it offset by the taxpayers to make those improvements, so.
I'm not debating that.
I understand.
think it's great to have a downtown NPTP program. But these residential historic lots are not part of the downtown.
I think, perhaps some of the, putting the cart before the horse, but there's been many opportunities of what could be delineated in those areas as well. I personally can't speak for the committee, obviously everything would have to come across and be approved from the dais to begin with, but I don't foresee anyone going on anyone's property or mandating improvements. But if maybe they wanted to improve street lighting in that district, maybe that could enhance that home, right? So I think there's different ways of including that could be beneficial, depending on what the committee comes up with.
And if I may, some of the preliminary ideas, because the committee hasn't been constituted yet, were more nothing to somebody's particular property, but, gates on American Legion, general infrastructure, community improvements on Front Street, like a mural. Nothing that I would say, you need to do something in your home to preserve this. That wasn't the idea of what we were trying to do with the grant, nor was it any of the deliverables that we would do for June.
I've been working on this project, so, preparing the plan. So the whole idea is, the map is designated the area where we can take projects using these grant funds to improve the areas. Now, doesn't mean we can, it doesn't, so like if we wanted to fix up, streetlights or put in park benches or things like that, using grant funds, that's what it allows us to do. And we just have to have a defined area, and that's all there is.
And it's 5 years.
It's a 5-year grant program, right. So the idea of moving the boundaries to include the library is that the library was identified as a location where we could utilize some of this grant funding to make improvements.
If needed.
Yeah, I think it's great. Matter of fact, the house across from the library, which was given
Nancy's
a
favorite house.
zoning for commercial use, I think everybody knows that house. I think it'd be fantastic if it was fixed up, but it's been zoned commercial. The houses on First Street in the historic district have not been zoned commercial. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Graham?
Elmer J. Graham Jr., 22 St. Peter's Place. A few things. First of all, Resolution 8420. Can you all explain that shared services agreement?
Sure, that's the shared services or the CME agreement?
Well, I guess, I'm sorry.
8420 is the CME agreement?
CME agreement, I'm sorry.
Sure, last year there were, Mr. Hanshaw, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but last year the borough, endured several situations with water main breaks and some of the infrastructure, and we had to go out for emergency repair. So this allows us to be able to call on them for those type of emergencies and not pull from what we had already allocated for other engineer type services throughout the year, which has an engineer in our borough 1 day a week and does reports and so forth. So this is for when if we were to endure any future emergencies, it allows us to call them out. Am I correct, Mr. Henshaw?
Correct.
Okay, that's definitely beneficial to the taxpayers, right?
It gives us a preset rate as opposed to us being billed at an emergency hour. So we're basically putting them on call without having to be billed at an emergency rate.
So we won't
So
have
yes,
to
it would
pay,
be
so we
beneficial.
won't have to pay any extra taxes out of this, or?
Contingency.
As long as we don't have any more emergencies, but
Okay.
this locks it in at a rate as opposed to it being a flex rate.
Okay. Resolution 8820, can you all explain that? The approval directive division for local government services?
The public bench program?
Yes.
Basically, under statute, we need to request from the state the
Okay.
authority to basically take in donations. And basically, that's what we're looking to create a program where people can donate funds to have benches dedicated and set up. And in order for us to be able to take in public money, like people donating money like that, we need to get approval from the DCA, essentially.
we received several requests from different family members, most recently Chief Hafner at a meeting, to be able to donate benches. So, and it's been about 3 years of people asking, but in order for us to do it, as the attorney just explained, there wasn't anything set up in the structure format for us to do it. So the Division of Local Government Services does have a defined way to do it, so that's what we're adopting, if it passes.
Question, we can dedicate benches ourselves, but we just can't accept donations to do it.
Right.
That's the finance aspect of it.
Usually a family would come forward and,
Yep.
you know, we would have a predefined dollar amount for, you know, some municipalities have donations of trees. We have, you know, there have been several families that have asked about donations of benches.
Now, the
Similar
donation,
to the two that are outside of Borough Hall now.
okay, now on the donations, you can't accept donations or whatever. Does that also include that you can't accept political donations?
Who can't accept
I'm
political?
talking about political, you're talking about accepting donations and stuff, I'm talking about donations from certain political parties and stuff like that.
To the members of the governing body, to the borough,
Well, yeah,
there's state statutes that define what is allowable and what's not.
okay. Can you all explain resolution 9320?
That is the,
NPP.
that's the NPP. That's the appointing the members, by ordinance back the last fall. We,
Mike just asked that question.
we defined, what type of, participants, would be part of that committee, and then tonight we're appointing them by name.
So, under the program, there are some requirements that the town has to, the borough has to continually do to be eligible to receive the grant funding. One of them is to create what's called a stakeholder team, mixture of residents, business owners, people that have some sort of connection to the area. Because they can provide insight, feedback, ideas on the type of projects that we want to potentially invest in and utilize these grant funds with. And so it was just something that we just need to get into place.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Hack. Anyone else? Mayor Murray?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. John Merla, 34 Broad Street, Keyport. Just to follow up on 8520, the shared services with Monmouth County. Tom, we're in an agreement now with them, though.
This would extend it for another.
We've been extended courtesy until we get this done.
Okay, so we don't actually have an agreement,
Well, we had the one from last year
and we're rolling that.
for right now, but the cost will be retro to January 1st.
There was a figure, error, so we just need to correct the paperwork from them before we can really adopt this by resolution.
Okay. Regarding the neighborhood preservation program with the stakeholders, this is just from my experience. You know, myself and Ed, we were involved in the 80s. Well, first let me ask you, the boundaries, and shame on me for not knowing, but are they the Broad De Beers, including Church Street and up to the library?
From the fishery down to Drew's.
Oh, it is. All right, because,
So
you know,
it's part of East Front Street also.
right, only because, you know, in 1988, that was the same area.
It was also Maple, and, over by Town and Country, so it was
Right.
Broadway. It was, the last one that they did, I think was actually not the, it was past the 80s. It was more like late 90s, was the latest one, and that one included over on Broadway and Maple on the other side of 35.
Here's what I can tell you from what I remember, and this is just going back, I know it was the 80s, but we had a full-time person in that position and had like 40 volunteers. And the state, they basically came in, assessed 5 different zones, and told us that Broad De Beers up to Maple needed the most. It included residential, it also included commercial. But if this new zone is going to include residential, I would tell you, you need more members on that committee. Otherwise,
Sorry, this,
Uh,
just to clarify, you're
sure.
absolutely right. So this, what this is defining tonight is the advisory stakeholder committee. There are also going to be required public,
Groups.
yes. So
Okay.
those have not been established yet because that's gonna be open to anyone that wants to come. We
Right.
don't have to define that according to the statutes of the grant.
Oh, okay,
So this is just the primary advisory
Minimum.
stakeholders,
right,
that were defined by title. There will be, and that's part of the requirements that there has to be certain public meetings, there has to be, business stakeholder meetings as well as residential stakeholder meetings.
right.
So those are coming forth, but all of that can't get off the ground until we define kind of like who the leaders are that are
Okay.
gonna call the dates of those meetings and set them up, and as well as with the MP coordinator.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. The other question I had was regarding 9120, the adoption of the vehicle use policy. We currently have something
Yes,
on the books.
So
yes.
something
Is
was
this-
voted on in October, but it hadn't been vetted to the proper departments. So, this was after review with the chiefs and the department heads.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's just the fire department, or is it
No,
police?
And DPW.
All vehicles
All
on
ve-
my
all borough.
owned and insured. by the
So,
way.
so a question just to,
Not all borough insurance, and because you,
does this supersede the previous, not the one from October? John and I are both talking about the
The
long
one in the,
standing.
one in the
The
policy
original.
procedures book?
Yeah.
Yes.
My understanding, this is replacement.
so the challenge
Oh,
was
okay.
in that policy and procedures manual, that didn't ever get sent out to volunteers. And fire chiefs, as you know, are a valued asset of our community. So our fire chief, the first aid chief, they never saw that policy because they're not employees, and that was only an employee policy in the past. So this blends it to employee volunteer.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Employee, let me clarify again though, employee volunteer of non-emergency vehicles, as Councilman Good has indicated.
Right.
Okay? Anyone else in the public? Mr. Fox?
Daniel Fox, Boyd Church. How can you say that the fire chief's car is not an emergency vehicle, but the fire truck is?
Personal, because the fire chief's vehicles are driven in non-emergency situations.
I'll be driving the ladder truck down South Jersey in a non-emergency capacity on Saturday.
Why is it going to South Jersey?
It's going for service.
Well, that's a maintenance call, and you're already,
What restrictions does the fire chief have now with the car? It's gonna be different now.
wait, what?
What restrictions are gonna
It's
be
more,
imposed on the car?
it's for the personal vehicles, not so much not the trucks.
I understand, but what I'm saying is what restrictions are gonna be put on the fire chief's cars?
Same ones that are here, that really you're not allowed to have any, lend it out to anybody, nobody but the chief can drive it, we're not supposed to have the exception of spouses on their other, employees driving them or in the car, except for, in emergency situations, it's different, but it's gonna depend on.
So other firemen can't drive the fire chief's car now?
For what?
Other firemen can't drive the fire chief's car now?
It depends.
What does it depend on?
Well, like if you're going to a call or back from a call and, Chief Constantine said, he could be in the passenger seat typing up the notes or something, and somebody else driving him to make the,
But now, like,
time.
Saturday, we're going to take this truck to Tuckerton. It's always been protocol that me or anybody else would drive the fire truck, and another member would drive the fire chief's car. So we can't do that now. But I'm just trying to find out, so we can have,
You wanna see it?
yeah, I haven't seen it, I haven't got to read it.
Is it in the book?
I thought it was,
It's in the book.
And was the fire chief present at the meeting when you went over this with them, and has this been vetted to them, the chief's first aid, fire, police?
Chief was there, no, all chiefs.
But did they see the revision of what was comprised out of that
Well,
meeting?
we went over all of the, paragraphs, excuse me.
So, and the latest update, the chiefs are aware.
They're aware of what we set down, yeah. I mean, I don't know whether or not they've exactly seen this document, but we've gone over every paragraph. We went over every paragraph. All the chiefs and the police and.
I could say we save a lot of money for taking the fire trucks ourselves to the service centers and using the chief's car, but if we're not allowed to do that, I'm not gonna use my car and gas to drive to Tuckerton or South Plainfield if we're not allowed to use a car.
Why wouldn't they be allowed?
Yeah,
I was just looking to it before you approve it though, on how it's worded,
I'll
because,
let council,
I mean,
obviously, they can bring.
like I said, I'm not gonna use my personal vehicle to drive over to Tuckerton to have the truck service if I can't use the chief's car to bring the people back. I mean, that's not fair to, we're taking our volunteer time to drive our own vehicle, and you want us to pay for our gas too, and tolls.
No, that's not what the policy is.
Yeah, I think if you take the opportunity, take a moment to review the policy, most of the provisions, I would say are reasonable. We're not trying to interfere, there was no intent to sort of.
No, I know the other policy, I didn't see this one yet, the other one was really strict, I just.
Right, and that's why this was.
That's why I wanted to clarify it this way, you know, we don't have an issue, like I said, when we take the truck for service.
I could always follow you down without lunch at my mom's house in Little Lake Harbor if you want.
I'm sorry, Dan, I apologize. No, that's fine, because it's really that the borough vehicles are restricted to borough business at all times.
Okay.
So,
Just wanted to clarify.
right,
that's all.
that's my.
Thank you. No problem, thank you.
Thank you.
And just to confirm, this has been vetted with the police captain and police chief.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Mr. Lane?
Two things. I remember what former Mayor Rolla was talking about. We did have a downtown improvement program, and we had a lot of volunteers, and we went out and planted a lot of trees, right, John? And it turns out that the trees were defined, the kind of trees we would plant were defined by the county, by the NPP program, and we ended up having to cut them all down and remove them. And so, talking about, and I think Councilman Good said, fire trucks are only used for emergencies?
That's not what I said.
Oh, okay, what did you say?
I said the non-emergency vehicles. I said they're not considered under this.
They're not daily.
They're not considered under this policy.
Well, I was a long-term fireman in a different town, and we used fire trucks for parades.
That's business,
That's
that's
borough
borough business.
Borough business, yeah.
Well, they were parades outside of town.
Still
We take fire trucks down to
Went
Atlantic
down
City
to-
for the,
convention.
So, Mr. Lane, just for clarification, because that question came up after the last, reiteration of it, and Mr. Henshaw contacted, our insurance carrier, and that was confirmed that, if it's borough designated business, that is covered.
oh, okay, thank you for that insight.
Because we even brought up if the cheerleaders win, they may not do a parade for them, or the football team, and they said as long as it was borough initiated, then it was fine. Same thing with parades.
And what does borough initiated mean? Mean the council approved the use or
Department heads.
the department? Oh, the fire department. Okay, thank you.
The chief's the department head.
Anyone else in the public? Have a motion to close the public?
Motion goes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So I would, with, pulling R 8520, I would need a motion to approve R 8320 through R 9720.
Motion.
Second.
R 8520. Have a roll call, please. What?
I think I'm gonna have to withdraw my motion. I'm in a motion, so Shari, I'm in a motion.
I'll second the motion.
What just happened?
So they have to
Abstain from R 9420. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I meant 9320.
So we'll do 9320 separate. So it would be a motion for, so can we withdraw that motion?
I withdraw.
So R 8320 through R 9720, we're pulling and tabling R 8520, and we will vote separately on R 9320.
Motion?
Can I have a second on that?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Cooper,
Yes.
Councilmember Fotopoulos,
Yes.
Councilmember Good,
Yes.
Councilmember McDermott.
Yes.
Councilmember Pacheco,
Yes.
and Councilmember Sheridan.
Yes.
We have a motion for R 9320.
I'll motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Cooper,
Yes.
Councilmember Patapoulos,
Yes.
Councilmember Good,
Yes.
Councilmember McDermott,
Abstain.
Councilmember Pacheco,
Abstain.
and Councilmember Sheridan.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we have an ordinance introduction for increased maximum number of authorized patrol officers within the Keyport Police Department. Clerk will read the ordinance by title.
An ordinance of the Borough of Keyport, County of Monmouth, New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 3, Section 3.4 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Keyport.
Have a motion to introduce.
Motion.
Second.
Have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Cooper,
Yes.
Councilmember Patapoulos,
Yes.
Councilmember Good,
Yes.
Councilmember McDermott,
Yes.
Councilmember Pacheco,
Yes.
and Councilmember Sheridan.
Yes.
Have a motion authorizing the clerk to publish in the Asbury Park Press.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstain? Next, we have communications by consent. We have items 1 through 9, and we have to receive and file items 10 through 12. Does anybody have any commentary prior to opening to the dais? There might be a few questions on here.
Just real quick, I'm a member of the Our Lady of Fatima Parish, so I'll vote, but I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that.
So we'll pull that one when we do the voting.
No, I said I'll vote. I don't think it's a problem. No, I don't think it's a problem. I just want to make sure that I'm out there.
I'm also a member too, so.
And,
We're also getting a donation from number 1.
Thank you.
well, I'm gonna have him talk when we open it to the
Oh,
public.
cool.
because that's actually one of my
It looks like a
concerns.
little library, It looks like you.
And then everyone is okay with the flea market approval on item number 6? Well, after we open to the public, you can, just want to make sure everyone's aware. And then the receive and file is a request from a resident on West 3rd Street. But that's a major egress and pass-through for one of our municipal lots. So it's a receive and file, but I just want to make sure you guys were aware of what that, why that came forward. As well as number 7 is a request for the vacancy fee for $1,000 from a realtor for someone purchasing a home on Walnut Terrace. So just want to make sure when you guys do your approvals, you're aware of those details.
Madam Mayor, on number 6, was there a sit-down with, to talk about expectations? I know in years past, we've had trash issues, but I think most recently, it's been good. I don't recall hearing.
There were several issues last year, as well as the time of them leaving the lot,
Right, should we,
as well as the donation from. that we
right, I
did not
remember the
accept.
donation, but, maybe it's worth it to have a discussion up front before the season starts about expectations.
We had that with them the last 3 years, communication to them, including them as part of the approval and letter of communication to them. So, but if you want, we can pull it and have that conversation and vote on it next time. And
Well, it starts, mid-April, our next meeting,
March 3rd.
okay, I'll make that motion to pull it so that we can discuss with them up front, so we can have a better 2020.
so we'll just table that, right? That's what you're suggesting?
Yes, that's my
Okay.
suggestion.
Second.
Okay. Number 6. Were you saying there was something for 7 too? Someone just said
Mayor,
yes.
someone
Oh,
seconded.
I think you said 7, sorry. Oh, I don't know if we need to do it that way, but
I didn't.
all in favor?
Uh,
I thought you were saying there was an issue with
no,
number 7.
this is second, sorry, I shouldn't have enunciated.
Okay, so can I have a motion to open the public for communications?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor? Anyone from the public? I'm guessing Mr. Carew, you would like to come forward now?
Thank you. Ed Carew, 64 Broadway. Several years ago, you may be aware that I'm a woodworker, build furniture and things like that. And several years ago, I saw in a magazine a little library, which has been kind of becoming a rage across the country. And I built one and put it in front of my house, and then I rebuilt it when I used the wrong materials, and learned about how weather affects things and whatnot. So I'm not too proud to admit that I make mistakes in selecting materials sometimes, but then last year, John Schneider approached me about wanting to build one for his house, and then he did a couple of things on his Keyport television about how we built the libraries. And I kind of knew that that was going to probably lead to some people wanting little libraries. So last year I got 3 requests for little libraries from people in the community. So what I've learned over the years is that when they ask for 3, I should build 4 because someone else is going to want one. And our new director at the library said she wanted a little library in front of the library. And I thought that was kind of redundant. So I said, why would we want to do that? So rather than do that, I thought I would offer one to the borough of Keyport. And our last business administrator said to me one time, beware of organizations bearing gifts. And I guess for good reasons, because sometimes we forget all the technicalities that are involved with that gift down the line. So I thought about it somewhat, and I made my little library out of a material called AZAC, which is a plastic and cedar roof shingles that resist weather. And the AZAC, it takes paint and it's put on a pressure-treated 4x4. So it can be basically put almost anywhere. It's totally sealed, has a plexiglass window that you can look through the door, and that's safe. You don't have to worry about it shattering. I thought about the installation of it, and I can help install it, or the borough can install it if you accept the gift. You can decide where to put it if you accept it anywhere you want. If you choose not to have it, that's fine, because there's a long list of people that want it, so there's no offense taken if you choose no. I had a suggestion, but I think that I'm going to withhold my suggestion. You can, if you do accept it, you can decide to put it wherever you'd like to. I would be most happy to install it along with DPW, or have DPW install it by themselves. I think it will last against weather. I'm pretty sure it will. It seems to be pretty durable. And our librarian has offered to maintain it as far as keeping it full of books. It can be moved very easily, because I don't recommend cementing it into the ground. I would put it in about 24 inches deep into the ground on pressure-treated lumber. So it would be fairly secure. And it cost me maybe $60 to build, but I would donate that cost, so there would be no cost to the borough. And I would like to show you what it looks like. Okay, just give me 1 second. Oh, maybe 2.
On the right side of the dais, put it on there.
Now, can you build something smaller than that?
I want to face it this way so you guys can see it.
I kind of love it now.
Look how cool it is. That is really cool.
So if I can provide some more feedback on this, I'll be honest, I was a little stumped why we would put another library when we have so many throughout the town already. So I did have great communication with our new director at the library for 2 reasons. One, she's only been here 6 weeks, and now we're putting work on her to come out into the borough, right? So, but she actually welcomes the idea, because she's all about literacy. So the more books that get into people's hands, because I felt it was a deterrent for people to go into our library when we're kind of creating all these initiatives from Friends of the Library and the book coupon for the Valentines to get people in the threshold of the library, I felt like this was counterproductive. But she is fully on board. My suggestion for locations may not match your suggestions, but my suggestion for location, and that she was in agreement on this, is in front of the library actually, because our library is not currently ADA accessible. So if we put it on a lower post, it would make someone that maybe utilizes a wheelchair be able to have access to books, as well as off hours, right? So not everyone can get to the library during the hours they're open. So maybe on the outside library would work. And then my other suggestion would have to go through Councilman Cooper, but would be at the food pantry.
Well, the food pantry, I think, is private, and that would.
That's why I said it would have to go through
So,
Councilman Cooper.
regardless, whatever you guys decide is fine with me. If it goes in front of the library, that's okay. I mean, I'm giving it a gift, and once the gift is given, you can basically do whatever you want with it, hopefully nice things, but, I just thought it would be a good idea, and.
I think in the garden, you know, and especially down at the waterfront, my whole thing is if it's, which was in the letter, down by the gazebo, JPD or whoever the contractor is that's awarded for landscaping, having to mow around it may not be the happiest of people. So that's where I was going with that.
That's fine.
That's a little
beautiful.
weather
Nice
down
job.
there, too.
I know, I really like it.
And moisture.
Maybe
And
the mini-
mold-
maybe the
and
mini
mold
park?
moisture, that's not the other kids.
Maybe the mini park?
I guess really at this point in time, do we want to, you know, when we vote, we'll just, are we accepting it and then, you know, figure out where.
I can hold on to it, and then
So,
you can let me know.
you're gonna be the one who installs it, Ed, if we.
Well,
Well, if it's for a.
I don't wanna say, you know, DPW, you guys decide who installs it.
Right.
I'll make myself available to
Okay.
assist. I can either do it on my own if you think that's okay, or if you would like
I
to
think
see.
the DPW has to. If we accept it, no offense, but.
No, I mean, that'd be fine, and I would like to go with them and show them how to do it, basically. Years ago, I did make a sign for down at the borough, entrance to the borough. You know, it was a welcome to Keyport sign, and I made it in such a way as that you had to put it in 3 feet deep, and DPW only put it in a foot deep. And the sign fell over at the first storm, so, not that I don't have any faith in DPW, but, you know, I do know a little bit, and I think you need to go down.
If you voted, then you can work with me since I'm the.
Yeah, so I would like to work with them if you'd like, but if, that's fine if not, so.
Hey, I have a stupid question.
Sure.
So in the event of inclement
No
weather.
questions are stupid, by the
This
way.
one might be. In the event of like inclement weather, would we have to take the books and stuff out, or would it be okay? Okay.
Should be okay. I mean, mine's been up for years,
Oh,
and
you
it's
don't
never
take
gotten so much as a drop of water in it. I think like anything else, it could be susceptible to vandalism. I don't think you can stop that, I mean, other than keep your eyes open. It's been my experience for all the things we did, vandalism has been very, very minor in this town. So, exactly.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thanks, Ed.
That's it.
Anyone else in the public wish to come forward on the communications? Yes, Mr. Preston? Did you want us to turn it so it's on film?
No, when he approached, he got it right in front of her. And then he spun around.
You guys rehearsed this, I guess.
I just want to add, one of the ways these little libraries functions is people take a book and leave a book. So there's that dynamic, but you don't have with the regular library, so that's all. Thank you.
Mr. Lee?
Michael Lane, I noticed that my letter of February 5th is not listed on the communications. And from what I learned at the last council meeting, my letter does include a request. And, you know, somebody requested to consider a piece of property, et cetera, et cetera. And my letter was very clear in the request I made, was to get the status on the flood damage prevention ordinance and when we were gonna move on it. Because two things. One,
Mr. Wayne, actually, I don't mean to interrupt you. I took some time out, so I'm in the middle of it. It would probably should be, I can't 100% guarantee, but I'm like 75% sure. Should be ready for introduction next, as long as Trevor can get
But in addition to that work, which is great, get it done, we didn't, I thought we just hired an engineering firm to help with the CRS, Community Resilience System points, which impacts the cost that the waterfront people who pay for flood insurance pay. What happened to that program?
Wasn't that all employed for the review of that ordinance? When you guys were writing it?
Not the flood damage prevention ordinance, it's some different community rating system.
We get community rating points by having,
Was that with the LAPC?
Trying to remember, I thought we had,
It was for
that's
a
more
report
recent.
we had to submit, was that the Monmouth County Resilience, or was that the LAPC? Because
We-
we had them come and present to the LAPC.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I don't think it's a long-term employment of them, I think it was a consultation.
and did we get any points out of the process?
Yeah, that was the Monmouth County Resilience Plan that we submitted, correct?
Right.
What was it? I didn't hear.
The Monmouth County Resilience Plan? Isn't, Joe, can you say that?
Yeah, they came here, we had a meeting, they took our input, and then we were one of the first ones to provide them input. And then they went on it. If they released it Monmouth County-wise, I don't know their time schedule, but I think they released it, because that was a couple of years ago.
So you think we got some points out of that?
I would say so.
How do I find out? Put an upper request in?
Yeah, that,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kelsey?
But I just ask again, if somebody makes a request in a letter, why isn't it listed under communications?
I don't know that every request is going to be put on communications. I do know that I spoke with Mr. Henshaw, and he said that they were gonna be working on it, and we are in agreement that this needs to move forward.
Andrew Kelsey, 29 St. Peter's Place, just to talk about the CRS a little bit. I believe it stands for Community Rating System, but that's done through the National Flood Insurance Program, and they come in and they review what the borough has in place, and they assign a set of points that allows a discount to flood insurance policyholders. So I don't think what happens, I don't think what you're talking about the county is related.
Yeah.
I'll try to remember to send a little thing to you guys about that, but,
I'll look into it.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public about the communication? Is there a motion to close?
Motion closed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Mayor?
Yes.
If it's okay to ask a question about one of the communications? The one from the Realtor asking for the waiver, she refers to a attachment, and I don't see the attachment. I see her request, but it doesn't really go into details to why this is going on. It says, attached, please find a letter from my client. I don't see the letter from the client.
I'm gonna pull it up, hold on one second.
Okay.
I guess when I forwarded it for it to be on the agenda, it didn't include the attachment.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, that's it.
Because
So I'll read it
I'm not
and-
inclined to approve it just because a Realtor is asking for us
I
to
understand.
approve it.
I understand, that's it, you could see my commentary back to her, right?
Yeah, of course.
So,
Yep, yep.
Want to table it?
No, I can read it so that it's on a matter of record. Dear Mayor Clay Kennedy and Borough Council, I am respectfully requesting a waiver of the vacancy fine for 1-3 Walnut Terrace, which is currently $1,000. I am purchasing the property from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. The federal government will not pay for any type of borough fines or fees and would rather take a town to court and fight such fees. It has been a very frustrating process to purchase from HUD. I thought everything was in order to close until this unwillingness of the seller to pay the vacancy fee. I am currently scheduled to close on the property next Wednesday, February 12th, 2020. I am purchasing the property as an owner-occupant, not an investor. I lived in Keyport for a couple of years on Waverly and am anxious to return to Keyport and enjoy the community for years to come. I would like to begin renovating now and not have any more delays. 1-3 Walnut has been vacant for too long as it is. Thank you for your consideration. Your prompt response is appreciated as I am under a tight time frame until closing. Regards, Kevin Disler.
Obviously, it
So,
passed.
if you read
I'm
the
sorry.
email, I had said that we would not have a meeting prior to their closing, and that our next meeting would be February 18th, and I've not heard back from her if that closing took place or did not take place, but she thought it was going to get postponed. So, that's all the communication I have.
I'd like to table it, because I'd like to just read that, or at least see that in front of me.
Okay.
Just so I can look at it.
I'm sorry, I didn't know the attachment did not go through.
Do you need a motion to table?
No, so when we do the approvals, I'm just gonna table those items. Any other questions on those? Dave? So I'm asking for an approval and receipt and file for communication items number 1 through 9 with tabling items 6 and 7, and receive and file items 10 through 12. So if we receive and file number 10, that's not an approval, it's just a receive and file that we received the request.
That's a motion.
Second.
Have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Cooper?
Yes.
Councilmember Patapoli?
Yes.
Councilmember Good?
Yes.
Councilmember McDermott?
Yes.
Councilmember Pacheco?
Yes.
Councilmember Sheridan?
Yes.
Thank you. I have a listing of the reports by department.
Motion to receive and file.
She's gonna read them. Councilman Sheridan prefers them to be read.
Municipal clerk's report for January 2020, the tax order sewer collector's report for January 2020. I'm sorry, report number 3 is the Board of Health Treasurer's report for January 2020. Report number 4 is the Building Department monthly report for January 2020. And report number 5 is the Municipal Court monthly report for January 2020.
Can I have a motion to approve and accept the department?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstain? Next on the agenda, we have a letter from KBBC regarding flag holder installation. So the president has, I think what is a great idea is to try and turn our town into a more patriotic town, and would like not banner type flags, but actual flags on the 40 black lampposts that go over on Maple Place, as well as our defined part of Broad Street and West Front Street. So they're willing to pay for the brackets to hold the flags as well as the flags, and then we can change them out accordingly, maybe seasonal, maybe put up different themed flags throughout the year, but we can't do any of that if we don't have approval to install the holders onto the borough-owned lamp posts. So, where that's coming from, there was communication also, as far as whether we had the manpower. I've spoken with the department head of DPW, and being that spring is rapidly approaching, their hesitations are that they're not gonna be able to get them done quickly or all at once, because there's so many. So that would require a bit of manpower on our end, so if that was approved, that would have to be approved by the council as to whether we really have the manpower to put that on, and if not, then KBBC can see if they can pay someone to install them. But first order of business is we would have to agree if the flag holders can be put on the borough-owned lamp posts. And Mr. Straub is here, so I would just ask if it's okay if I ask him, even though it's from the public, if you have any other commentary or if I misspoke.
No, there are 38 poles. We've, just so you know, we've ordered 6 just to test them, to see how much is involved. They should be here by the end of the week. So we could maybe just out front here, put them on 6 poles, see what the time involved is. And at that point in time, if it's something that's too much for the, for DPW, then we can go to the outside, hire someone on the outside.
So,
I'd like to see them, I'd like to see these before.
see the 6 or see them at all?
I'll see if the,
Is there a rendering, is there a picture, is there?
I guess, no, if they're coming on Friday, I'd like at least to see what we possibly could be, what it is here.
But to even put them up, though, they are gonna have to go into borough property, though. That's the post, to even test them.
Well, the other issue is if DPW says that they don't have the manpower
Yeah,
right
that's
now,
not
then
necessary.
I'm gonna defer to them. Tom, did you have any discussions with DPW about this?
The only thing I know is the bucket truck's been giving them a lot of problems. They may have to go out and rent possibly a truck to do it.
Well, we can't do that.
Did you talk to DPW about this whole installation of the?
No, I did.
Well,
I did as the DPW board member, as the KBBC board member, I spoke with Bob myself.
And he said what?
Well,
That he was hesitant because of the manpower.
Oh, okay.
But that's why I'm saying right now, the first order of business would be, do we even approve them to be on our lampposts? Right? So if we don't,
Sure.
then that's all a moot point as far as who's putting them up. So if you guys maybe everyone doesn't want them on our lampposts, I don't know. So we couldn't move forward until we knew whether the governing body would be okay with flags going on the lampposts.
I think that look great, I don't see the need to put them all up at the same time and put pressure on DPW, just do it as when they can get there.
Okay.
So, I had a question. Mr. Straub, you mentioned, so if DPW feels that they can't do this, or they're overextended, you mentioned that KBBC would pay somebody else, could we even do that?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
we'll pay for the flag. The only thing we need the borough's permission is to put the brackets on the lampposts. We'll pay for everything, but we thought first we would see if it was something that DPW either had the manpower for or from a cost basis was feasible. If not, we could just go on the outside. We're willing to pay for the whole thing. We want to check with DPW first and see if they had any availability.
Madam Chair.
And I'm sorry, and Councilman Good, I have a printout from the company. It's a company in New York. Show you photos, what they look like. I'll give it to you after the meeting.
No, if they're coming,
I'm sorry?
if they're coming, I'll see them in person.
Yeah, they'll be here by the end of the week.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair. Madam Mayor.
So then you don't want to, hold on, I'm not ignoring you.
I know.
So you'd rather hold off on this until the next meeting on March 3rd and table it? I apologize again, I didn't read it in the packet because it was my own email thread, but I didn't read it, but, the photos and the whole kit and explanation of it was supposed to be in that. So unfortunately, when it forwarded through it, they just X'd out all the images. So that's why they don't have that part back. So I thought they did. Council Caput.
Jack, the current flag, the current banners are the top and bottom type. They're connected by clamps on the top and the
You're
bottom.
talking about the ones down in Fireman's Park?
Yeah. These are the ones that we're talking about, right?
No, we're talking about flags.
Flags? No,
Yeah.
I'm asking what exists now?
Nothing.
We don't have anything. Those
So-
down Fireman's Park are the boroughs.
And they're gonna stay?
We have nothing to do with those.
So the lampposts, the black lampposts out front?
The lampposts that had the holiday lights that are gonna be coming down anyway. Those, instead of holiday lights during the summer, we would put a little bracket and a little thing that comes out.
Yeah.
The flags would you'd be driving up West Front Street and you'd see flags coming out.
Coming out.
Regular flags, not banners.
And it would be-
Small flags, 2 by 3.
And it would be just one flag or a set of flags on each pole?
Each pole would have one. We did order one set of the double. I think the doubles might be too much. Our thought was that each one would have one set. They would head into the street. We can also take a look at what the double one looks like. It might be too much.
Okay, I'll look at thank you. You offered the
I
pictures.
do have,
I'd love to see
in the
them.
office, I have
Yep.
printouts like these.
I would have a preference that we not use DPW resources for this at all.
Then we can't do it, right?
No, then we just need,
No, they're willing to hire a company.
we just need the borough's permission to put a bracket on your pole, and we'll do everything ourselves.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so we're going to move that to the next meeting. That's why it was moved in, so we could discuss it and see.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
question, is there a time limit we have to have these things up in?
The flags?
Our idea was for the American flags, we would like to get them up. We'd prefer not to have them over the winter because they'd probably be damaged by the wind and snow, which we didn't have this year. But our idea would be to get them up before Memorial Day and take them down probably around Veterans Day, just after Veterans Day.
But there's no time element on it. There's no time.
No.
No.
If we had, money and resources and we were gonna like promote for the St. Patrick's Day Parade and put the logo up for the, that's not, this is an initiative and it could be done whenever. So the goal would be so that we have, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Flag Day, and Labor Day and Veterans Day all covered.
Jack, when you get those brackets in, if you wouldn't mind, I guess, connecting with the administrator, Dave could probably DPW, and then when they actually saw everything.
We'd like to ask DPW to put just these 6 up.
Well, no, I mean, but just, if you get with Tom and then show the brackets, because the DPW, once they see it, might say, oh yeah, this will take 3 seconds, or something along those lines.
That's why we ordered 6, just to see what's involved.
Thank you.
Unfinished business.
Mayor, I have one item. Same in Cuba, between Fridays, August 14, 21, 28 at 6 p.m. Did we approve that? I know we talked about it last meeting.
They were going to communicate with what dates they prefer, and we had suggested August dates, but,
The Fridays for the.
Right, the Fridays in August, 14, 21, and 28 at 6. I think everybody was happy with that, including Joe Rowland.
okay.
So, you want to put it on our next meeting? Cool, thank you.
Thank you. I have a unfinished business, it's more of a point of order, clarification. Mr. Walling, at the last council meeting, you had asked me about dumpster enclosures, which you and I are both on board with as far as needing to be addressed. However, I had misinformation when I had reported back to you and said that they had received summonses. That was incorrect. They had received notice of a violation, and I have been in communication since then again with our property maintenance as well as some of the other properties that you had mentioned. So that is still being followed up on, but I just want to clarify that I was incorrect on the summonses. That's the information I had received back in December, but it was actually notices of violation.
Thank you.
Hold on, just give me 1 second, I actually have a question that I just want to get my bearings.
Can I just do one other?
Yeah,
unfinished
please,
business?
actually, we just looked for what I'm looking for.
Mr. Baloo, we had spoke at the last meeting with your request to meet them. I know you saw that I stopped by on the weekend. I saw the light on in your office, so I thought you were there. But some other things have come up that I wasn't able to call you back and look, that hasn't fallen off my.
I appreciate you stopping by, and I did try to reach out to you.
I know, I received your message and I'll still reach out to you. Okay.
Wi-Fi. So I was wondering if there was an update about Wi-Fi. My understanding was that coming soon?
Yes,
I know.
the Wi-Fi company came in today, met with Public Works, because they're going to run the wires around City Hall, and then they're gonna hook it up, and we're good to go.
Good to go. And then my other question was, this is what I'm looking for in this big packet, the electric vehicle parking spot.
That's a grant we applied for, we haven't received any notification
any
yet.
notification. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Attorney's report?
We have matters discussed in closed session, but other than that, nothing to report.
Thank you for your work on streamlining 6 months into 3 weeks of NPP stuff.
Yeah, very good.
Can I have a motion to open to the public?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Reminder, 5 minutes per person, please. Mr. Kelsey?
Andrew Kelsey, 29 St. Peters. Any update on my petition for 75 Manchester?
75 Manchester?
He's talking about for the tear down.
No, I thought, my ears are clogged, I thought you said 25 for some reason.
I do not have an update on that, but it hasn't been forgotten.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chris?
Dick Drew, 64 Broadway. There was a couple of library things I wanted to mention. That we have the AARP tax people that are coming to the library, and that's on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and that'll be right up until tax season is over. We had a representative from the Art Society come to our last meeting, and we want to work with them in collaboration with the Art Society to maybe have some more art put up at the library. And she gave 3 proposals, and one of them is very easy, one, a little bit more time involved. The book return is the one project that I thought was fascinating, because we have a steel book return, stainless steel book return is kind of plain. Some people mistake it for a garbage can. They would make that some form of art, so there'll be a collaboration going on. There could be some art put in the stairways that go from upstairs to downstairs. That's a possibility down the road a little bit, where they would put it on some kind of material and fasten it to the walls and then take it down if it ever needs to be taken down or changed. And then a third possibility, I believe, was the cement walkway leads to this children's section, which can be done with art. But that could be down the road a piece, in case if we decide to change the entrance, there are possibilities there. We did have the elections of the officers, and I thought that might be worthy of mentioning. Once again, I've been elected president of the library trustees. Eileen Fotopoulos is again the vice president. We have a new secretary replacing Jim Bocci and Leslie Kotsis. And we have a new treasurer replacing resigned Gailey Benedict, Rosemary Besrichko. And she will be our treasurer. And I just received word a few minutes before I came to the meeting that the library has been mentioned in a will from a famous Keyport resident who passed away last summer. She bequeathed $10,000 to the library. And I'm going to the library tomorrow to sign the papers for it, and there'll be a notary public to make it official. So we all know Elizabeth Walling has been a lifelong resident of Keyport, and I do recall one time when she asked me to come over and fix a door on her shed, and she wanted to pay me, and I just couldn't take money from a neighbor. So I said, if you want to pay, make a donation to the library. And she did. She wrote out a check for $100. So she's very definitely was dedicated to this borough, right from grade school, and she attended the schools here, and then she taught in the schools here. And then when the school became the senior centers, she went to the senior center. She was a lovely neighbor, and she would always stop by Sunday mornings on the way to get the newspaper and chat, and she even asked to tour our gardens with her friends, invite them over to see the gardens at our house. And she's just a lovely person, and what a counsel that the library, we're going through some dynamic changes, and this certainly is going to be 100% helpful. $10,000 donation is significant, especially when we're looking to change furniture. We've applied for grants to improve the borough, get our chimney fixed. We're really new carpeting. We're going to make it a place where people will enjoy coming to the library, be opening and welcoming. And this $10,000 is a surprise boost for us, because things have been moving, and this just makes it much, much better. So I just wanted to let everybody know that happened, and if anybody else would like to do something in the future.
Are you asking us to die?
I think you're making, it's a little small for the new library, but, 10 grand, you could probably make a window, something.
Well, actually, I do have something in my will for the library, so. That's gonna be a while down the road, I hope.
Right, Santa.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Rollins?
George Walling, 54 Second Street. Thank you for that, Mayor. I stopped into Tom's office the other day on my way through picking up an Oprah request, and we had some dialogue about Davis Locksmith. He said he was in contact with the people. They're looking to knock that building down. So, thank you for that. The parking lot, I know I brought it up once before, but right now, it's a contractor in the borough has a vehicle parked there for 5 days now, just sitting in the parking lot.
Second Street and Church.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I actually have a a list of things I want to communicate with Trevor, our engineer, about. He was actually out, for medical reasons for a couple weeks, and then this week he's on vacation. So
Right.
it is the first thing on the list of things I want to communicate with him.
Well, the sidewalk and everything we
Right,
discussed,
the whole condition
but for a
of it.
contractor leaving his trailer there for 5 days,
Is it-
without
is-
that little piece of paper flapping in the breeze.
Is it a local contractor, or is it the contractor that's working on?
The houses that are finished and rented?
I'm asking.
No.
is
The
it a-
trailer, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't
Oh,
even,
I thought it was doing the work on the,
I thought he was, yeah.
one of those.
No, it's a contractor within the borough.
Okay,
A contract.
that's all I need to know, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
George, I'll move it tomorrow.
No, he said it would.
Mr. Graham?
Elmer J. Graham Jr., 22 St. Peter's Place. A few things. First of all, right off the bat, what's the latest on Governor Murphy doing a town hall here in Cape Point?
I have not put a request for it this year.
Well, I think y'all could continue to push on it because he's done town halls throughout many parts of our state of New Jersey, and the citizens of Cape Point are entitled to hear from him. That's it, plain and simple. Whether you voted for the man or not, plain and simple.
Hey, Elmer, I actually, last year, I met him at the track.
Okay.
At Food Truck Day.
That sounded so bad.
Maybe we should just stop.
At Food Truck Day, this always happens for the new people in the audience, I always put my foot in it, but anyway. And I actually reached out to his communications director and a couple of times and haven't heard back. So, it's not for a lack of effort.
Oh, I understand.
And I'll-
Y'all should keep pushing.
Right, so let's just see. what
We
happens.
have all, I mean, I think all of us have, I think, been.
Yeah.
He does it in other
Pacheco
parts of
has
the state
said
of
in
New
the past.
Jersey, he can afford to come here.
Of course he can. We went to his house.
Right. Anyway.
My reference was I have not asked this year, so it doesn't mean we have not asked.
Okay, another thing is, what's the latest on getting a permanent borough administrator?
There is a search underway, and the person that's representing that is reviewing applications as they come in, as well as meeting with department heads, and he has meetings set up with 3 council members this week to get their input on certain things too.
Now, that search is being conducted by this consulting firm that y'all retained, right?
Correct.
Correct.
At taxpayer expense, right?
Correct.
And, which, by the way, I personally think that y'all should have been more involved in that besides the consulting firm, because past borough councils didn't do that or whatever.
I understand.
But that's my opinion.
I understand, they were fully staffed upstairs, and we currently aren't, so we're down a clerk, and we're down people in the tax office, and we're down a BA, so, we're down quite several number of personnel, so.
Are you in a hurry to get rid of me?
Oh, no, you're doing a great job. Hopefully, maybe get
I'll go in.
permanent, that's all. But anyway, that's taxpayers' money that y'all are spending here. Another thing, a couple more things. Are there any more meetings scheduled for the Complete Streets Initiative, one way or another?
I think
Because
that's
that's
going
one
to
of my-
await our borough administrator to.
It's one of my questions on my list for Trevor too, is where we're at with that process.
Okay, thank you. And one last question. What is the latest, any possibility of getting these meetings put on cable channel 15 or on the internet and all that? So
Facebook.
I understand
Mr.
Facebook.
Kelsey is our,
I understand Facebook, but there's not enough.
It is a goal, I just, the budget hasn't been presented yet, but, there are money factors. I know, at the end of last year, it was being looked into as far as what the cost would be. That has not gone, has not been vetted yet as far as being approved, but
Because-
it is in discussion.
Because there are people who want to come to the borough council meetings that
I understand. Or
can't
want
make
to
it,
watch it again after.
especially in regard to Manchester Avenue here and stuff like that.
I agree.
They didn't get a chance to get heard. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Booth?
Long night.
I've been using my mic tonight, Ed.
Dennis, you were the first one I heard tonight.
Okay.
You're the first one I'm
Just
gonna ask
making
a
sure.
question. And you're the first one I'm gonna ask a question to. You mentioned earlier about a grant. Somebody's writing your grant. Who's writing your grant?
The grant for, I assume you're talking about the grant for the plantings in the back, the back beach plantings that I
Yes.
talked about? our grant writers are writing that grant, Millennium. And Millennium, unless I refer to anybody else otherwise, when I mention grants, you can assume that it's our grant writers that are doing it.
Who is the, we have a grant writer?
Oh, yeah, we've had it,
We employ a grant writer.
we pay them a certain amount.
Oh, yeah?
We contract, yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Oh, yeah?
We
Yeah.
What is
contract.
the name of that company?
Millennium.
Oh, Millennium.
Yeah.
That's why I
You
just wanna make
answered
sure, I just wanna
Thank you,
clarify.
I like that, everybody talked, I could hear you.
Just to clarify though, we contract, we don't employ them. They're not an employee of the borough. We don't have our own on-staff grant writer.
Yeah.
We we contract Millennium.
Mayor, you still looking to have the bus wash?
Yes.
There's a place in Saraville, just opened up, where the old circle was, brand new place, they wash.
If I may, I did call them and, they want a lot more than what we were gonna get in Lakewood, but I did contact somebody else, and I'm waiting to get some information back from them, so.
Oh, there's another place out in Greenbrook too, they come right to the job too, so. But anyway, I'm sure
I'm
you'll
still
find
working
something.
on it, but I do have some information on it.
I think just going Lakewood is a little bit too far. The pole that we talked about, a
The
few,
lamppost on American Legion Drive,
yeah,
that was replaced today.
it was. Well, yeah, today or yesterday, I'm not sure.
Either one, it's
Yeah.
up today. Maybe I didn't
It
check it
don't
last
light,
night.
but it's up, that's good.
That's,
just
you know,
want
3/4
light,
of a
you want to
bathroom.
light all the
Usually ask
No, we don't, I
for-
don't,
No.
it's just nice to see it back.
Then, you know, then when we remove the cone, that's still there too.
And of course, maybe we can go over the signs whenever you get a chance.
Yeah.
If you see somebody truck out there, let them know.
Okay.
So, the dumpster, you talked about dumpsters earlier too, Mr. Wallen. There was an enclosure put up yesterday, I think it was yesterday, at Mike Subs. They did a nice job, put the dumpster enclosure in, and it looks much better.
Italian Touch did theirs too.
Excuse me?
Italian Touch did theirs too.
Oh, did they? Oh, good.
Yes.
Can I report, sorry, that also Green Grove Apartments
Looks
have
great.
all of their dumpsters in enclosures finally.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why, and Mayor Almack will attest to this. It's because is it the escrow that they have to give us, and they don't get until they complete what the planning
Gotcha.
board says they have to complete, so.
Oh, that's good. It's shaping up. It's,
There's several others though that are
it's
still
fine.
on the list, so
Performance guarantee, yeah.
I have email communication in with our,
Yeah,
I
a few
asked
more
them in
gotta get
person.
done. That 41 Broad Street, over here in the corner, that's the worst one.
Is that the one behind Mansion House?
Behind where?
Mansion House?
Yeah, on the side.
I agree, it's
Yeah,
horrific.
that's the worst.
And, another one is, that needs to be addressed is, up the creek. And the one behind, I don't know if it's Wells Fargo dumpster, so on record, I'm not saying that, but it's behind that lot. It
Yeah.
looks like it's behind.
Yeah, there's a few.
There's a few, definitely come a long way, but there's
it
still,
has,
if
yes.
others had to, then they all have to, so I'm still following up on them, so.
Mayor, how are we making out with the water department? What? does
As far
anybody
as the
know
water
what's going on?
treatment plant,
Yes.
Mr. Henshaw has the most up-to-date information on that.
Yeah, they're just about done. They should be done by mid-March, and then they'll be testing it, and then, as you well know, we want to be able to pump more water so we don't have to buy it and save money and, pay down our debt on that. But everything should be up and operational by mid-March, and then with some testing and everything else, everything should be good to go by May.
And are we gonna pump more water? Are we
Yes,
gonna
we
pump water all year long?
That's the plan. That's the plan.
I know originally that was the plan.
Still the plan.
We're gonna get we're gonna get a gallon of water for a half a penny. I gotta see all this happen, I'd like to see this, I don't know, Mike, you got the statistics on the water? What do we pay for water now? I know you know. All right, I think that is it. One other thing I wanted to mention, and I don't know if this is good or bad, but every time I go over the Demont Street Bridge, everybody familiar with that term?
Mott Street Collapse Bridge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, before Mr. Gallo left, he mentioned, and we know that's, county-owned. I think it would be nice to have a bridge there,
We all agree.
you know?
Yep.
Maybe have it a tunnel.
You know,
No, we all agree.
I think that would be nice to see a
Go with
bridge
bridge.
there.
It's a nice-
It sort of reminds me of
it's a
the one
nice
that's going
entrance
over
into
Church Street in Matawan.
Oh, we
They
have
have
like a tunnel,
something
so like welcome to
same-
Keyport. and
Same
when you go
effect,
down,
I
it'd
think
be
the
like a
county
bridge.
owns that, and they put that in about 15 years ago. It's kind of nice, that's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Maybe you could have like the estuary go over there, it was all flowing, no? No one did that.
Mr. Lane?
I don't know how many people go up Atlantic Street, but at the intersection of Second and Atlantic, there's a blinking red light for both, north and south on Atlantic. But there's no stop sign on Second Street.
It's not a stop, I think
It's
it's
not
a
a
yellow
stop,
light.
it's a yellow.
Yeah, but
Wait, I'm
you
sorry.
come
I'm
to a full
confused.
stop with a blinking red light, somebody comes down Second Street, caution maybe 35 miles an hour.
It's not a four-way stop. One side is amber and one side is red.
Right, that's what I'm suggesting we fix.
Oh.
Oh, okay, but you're asking them why they don't stop for an amber, but it's not required that they stop for an amber.
Yeah, but you come to a full-way stop and you look down, there's no cars, and all of a sudden you start going to the intersection.
But it's not a four-way stop.
I understand
I
that, but
think
you
that's
come to a full stop with a stop sign.
Yeah.
Like to see a four-way
You
stop.
look to the left, and you don't see anything, and then you start to proceed, and somebody comes by at 35, 40 miles an hour, coming down Second Street. George, you agree with that, don't you?
Council,
And so what I'm suggesting is, put a four-way stop in at that intersection.
Well,
But,
that would be an extra sign, because one of those,
Is it
there's
one
no,
way?
it's a one-way.
No, you don't need a sign for the one-way.
Right, so it wouldn't be a four-way stop now, would it?
all right, Matt, so it would be a three-way stop. I think you get a point. Council, Police Commissioner, can you please, get an accident report, update for that location?
Precise.
Thank you.
But that then generated some dialogue, and I think we may have had a little bit of it at the Environmental Commission, Dennis,
Yeah.
about the real terrific value of four-way stops. You have mothers with baby carriages and laundry piled high, going down First Street to the laundry at First and Broad. Right now, there's no crosswalks, so we're gonna put 2 crosswalks in. Or add 1 more crosswalk, which is great. But people come ripping down that hill and make that turn without even hesitating. That's a superb location for a four-way stop. And it also gives you traffic calming. Now, at the yacht club, you have all kinds of activity at night, people using that intersection. That's another location for a four-way stop. So, how do we get this into the TAP program? Pedestrian Safety Improvement Program.
Once we have the public hearing on that, and there's a committee for it, then those will be the advisory of the committee.
All right, so the engineers are not cranking away with the plan until we get the public meeting.
Not that I'm aware of.
All right, well, that's good news.
Well, it's not, because I would rather it be moving forward, but no, it hasn't taken any further steps that I'm aware of.
Well, I meant it's not.
Right,
It's
it's
good
not
for-
going out without you knowing, correct, but
Without-
I would rather it be actually in process right now.
I have surveyed residents on First Street who we very much want traffic calming. And I can't think of a better way for traffic calming than a four-way stop at Atlantic and First, and a four-way stop at Broad and First. And it would make it safer for the pedestrians, without question.
Thank you.
I don't know, how many minutes I got left?
-2.
Negative?
I'm just spoken, go ahead, because I didn't clock another person, so, but within reason, please. We do have a lengthy closed session.
Anything on the marijuana dispensary?
It has not been forgotten about, but I have not moved forward on that.
Any status report on Beach Park outfall pipe?
Yes. You have an update on that, or Councilman Pacheco, didn't you have an update on that one?
Yes,
It's March, right, is the next,
March.
or Mr. Henshaw, do you have an update?
some of the parts came in and we're working on it, and hopefully they're gonna be done by the end of March.
End of March. All right. You might want to inform the Harbor Commission, because they thought it was going to be done before then.
No, that's not, Mike, that's not true. That's not true, we talked about that.
Oh, okay. I missed the last
You weren't at the last
I
meeting.
missed the last meeting. Apologize. All right, so that was an updated from the previous meeting then. Okay. I just one other, you talked about Green Grove getting all their dumpsters enclosed, that's fantastic. One of the other conditions on the approval for Green Grove was they were gonna change their parking permit process. So there wouldn't be cars parked outside of the development while there were empty spaces in the development. Has that happened?
I don't know, and it's per the planning board resolution, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'll have to, I mean, not me, we have to have Councilwoman McDermott look at that.
Councilman McDermott, did you put that on your watch list?
Yes.
Thank you.
We can
Mr.
control it
Kelsey?
if it's in the resolution.
Is the borough currently looking for a new clerk slash deputy clerk, or does that have to wait until the end of the month?
At this particular moment, that is a no. But next meeting, that may be different.
Is the borough unable to advertise for that position at the moment?
We
or
can't
just-
discuss that under litigation, okay?
It's a personnel matter we can't discuss right now.
Maybe next meeting.
Okay.
Trying to formulate around it. There's
No, it's just, I mean, it's public knowledge that there's a letter of resignation in, and I'm not asking about a specific person, just asking if it was being advertised or able to be advertised.
Can't answer that.
No. Okay. Thank you.
As far as position you're referencing, there was other letters of resignation, like in the tax office, and that position is being advertised.
Okay. I get some very late emails from Ms. Clark, so.
We, 100%, I don't, 100%. Most of the time, some of us are here with her, trying to help and stuff packets and make copies, and, I mean, to that mention though, I will also say that when we are doing, employee, personnel positions moving forward, a lot of things have to be considered. We are a full open communication dais, and we appreciate members of the public commentary. We definitely have to take into consideration the sometimes stop flow of government attempts, especially with the amount of OPA requests that have been received in the last 6 weeks, and we're on the upwards of over 70. So, I think sometimes that has to be taken into consideration and could be a full-time person at the taxpayers' expenses if they keep coming in at the rate they're coming in. So, there's a lot that has to be reviewed when we move forward on positions.
And Michelle did come in on her day off to do OPA requests.
Two days off, Lincoln's birthday and President's Day,
Yeah, Monday I was here.
just on OPA requests.
I'm not sure what you mean by that commentary. Are you just,
In general, because you're asking
She's
about
very
the
busy.
position.
No, I know.
I was agreeing
I
with
just-
you, but I'm saying, and you're asking about positions being posted, but we.
I was just wondering if, she's gonna see some help soon, that's all.
We did bring a temp in for the last 4 weeks to assist with catching up with minutes. But as far as posting the position, which was your original request,
Yes.
and you had asked about a specific title, so I was indicating that we also have to do review on the dais as far as what really is needed and how much.
Okay, so overall, just what's going on up there and how it's gonna be working, okay, fair enough. I'm not complaining that anything's taking too long, just curious, that's all, thank you.
Have a motion, anyone else from the public? Have a motion to post.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
The attorney can read the closed session.
Consider the Board of Resolution authorizing executive session to discuss a matter of potential of litigation as well as a contract negotiation.
have a motion to go into a 5-minute break and then closed session.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.